Imagine this. It's the dead of night, a dense jungle. The rain is pouring down so hard that you can't even see your own hand in front of your face. The mud is up to your knees. And in that dark silence, you hear a sound. Not an animal, but thousands of footsteps. Suddenly, the black curtain of the jungle tears open. Screams of Banzai echo through the air. Running toward you are not 10, not 100, but 3,000 enemy soldiers. Bayonets are gleaming in their hands. They're coming in waves. When one wave dies, the next climbs over the bodies to attack. Your fellow soldiers are dead. Your machine gun is glowing red hot. And you are completely alone. If this were a Hollywood movie, we would say this is impossible. But this wasn't a movie. This was the terrifying night of October 24th, 1942, when a 25-year-old American Marine played a game of hide-and-seek with death for 12 straight hours. That night, he proved that a single man can weigh heavier than an entire army. This is the story of Manila John, the Marine who stood at the gates of hell and refused to let the enemy in. To understand this story, we have to go to Guadalcanal. This was an island that soldiers called Hell on Earth. Here, it wasn't just the enemy trying to kill you. The mosquitoes, malaria, fungus, and the sweltering 100-degree heat could take your life just as easily. The year was 1942. World War II was at its peak. America and Japan were fighting over a small airfield named Henderson Field. Whoever controlled this airstrip would rule the Pacific Ocean. The Japanese army wanted to drive the Americans out at any cost. Japanese General Maruyama sent his absolute best Sendai Division. This was an army of 20,000 soldiers. Their plan was simple: launch a massive attack in the dark of night and push the Americans into the sea. But they didn't know that at the exact spot they planned to attack, Lunga Ridge, sitting behind mud and sandbags, was a stubborn Marine. His name was Sergeant John Basilone. Was no ordinary soldier. He was a boxer from New Jersey. Before joining the Marines, he had lived in the Philippines, which earned him the nickname Manila John. His comrades used to say he could field strip his machine gun in the pitch dark and put it back together blindfolded. He was manning a Browning M1917 machine gun. This was a heavy 90-pound beast that needed water to keep cool. John was in charge of 2 machine gun sections. On the night of October 24, the weather turned. The rain began to fall. This was the perfect cover for snipers and infiltrators. John told his men, "Tonight is going to be a long one, boys. Keep your eyes open." Around 10 p.m., strange noises began drifting from the jungle, the snapping of twigs. Then suddenly, the silence shattered. The Japanese army started raining down mortars and grenades. And then it began, the Banzai charge. This is a suicide attack where soldiers run directly into enemy fire without caring for their lives. Their goal is to terrify and overrun the enemy. Imagine thousands of men screaming like madmen, running straight at you. John Basilone squeezed the trigger of his machine gun and didn't let go. The M1917 began spitting fire. The first wave was so massive that the Marine line was on the verge of breaking. Many of John's comrades were killed. The bunkers to the left and right of his unit were destroyed. Now only John and his 2 machine guns were left. The enemy was so close John could see their faces. Ammo was running low. The machine gun was so hot that the water inside was boiling off into steam. If the gun jammed, It was game over. Suddenly, John noticed his second gun had gone silent. The soldiers manning it were dead. John made a decision. He left his position and sprinted through a hail of bullets to the silent gun. He found it jammed. In the dark and mud, dodging enemy fire, he fixed the gun and started firing it alone. He didn't stay in one spot. He would fire from one gun, then sprint to the other. In the darkness, the Japanese thought an entire battalion was stationed there, when in reality, it was just one crazy Marine running back and forth. It was past midnight. The battle had been raging for hours. Now a new problem arose: ammo. The supply line was behind them, and enemy soldiers were in between. John Basilone pulled out his pistol, Colt 45. He told his surviving men, "Don't stop firing," and he ran back into the dark to get ammo. On the way, he encountered Japanese soldiers. He took them down with his pistol, grabbed crates of ammunition, and sprinted back to his gun. It sounds like a video game, but John made this trip not once, but multiple times that night. The situation got even more horrifying when his machine gun became so hot it was impossible to move. He didn't have his protective asbestos gloves, but John didn't have time to stop. With his bare hands, he grabbed the searing hot barrel of the heavy gun. His skin was burning, but he didn't care, and he moved it to a new position to get a better angle on the enemy. The Japanese soldiers were using the piles of dead bodies for cover as they advanced. The pile of bodies had become so high that John actually had to knock it over just to see his targets. Just think about that image, a mountain of death standing right in front of you. It was 3 a.m. John Basilone had been fighting continuously for 5 or 6 hours. Only 2 or 3 men from his entire team were left alive. John's clothes were torn, his boots were soaked in mud, and his hands were burned. Then one final massive wave came. The Japanese commanders sent every remaining soldier they had at once. They got right up to the bunker. When the machine gun ammo finally ran out, John pulled out his machete and his pistol. He fought hand to hand. Anyone who tried to enter the bunker, John took them down right there. When the morning sun rose and the rain stopped, the sight that greeted the incoming reinforcement team gave them goosebumps. The jungle was quiet. On that hill, John Basilone was sitting next to his machine gun, exhausted but alive, and in front of him, across the entire field, were not just 38 Japanese bodies, but an entire regiment had been wiped out. According to reports, hundreds to 1,000 enemy soldiers died on that front that night, and John was the primary reason they were stopped. When Colonel Chesty Puller saw this, he patted John on the back and said, "Son, what you did tonight will be written in history." For this bravery, John Basilone was awarded America's highest honor, the Medal of Honor. He became a hero overnight. The government pulled him back to the U.S. He was toured around the country to sell war bonds. He became a celebrity. He had money, fame, and he even found a beautiful wife. He could have lived the rest of his life in comfort, but John's heart wouldn't let him. He kept saying, "I'm walking on red carpets here, and my boys are dying in the mud out there." He insisted on going back. The military refused, but John wouldn't take no for an answer. Finally, in 1945, he returned to the battlefield, this time to the island of Iwo Jima. Look at the irony. The man that 3,000 Japanese soldiers couldn't kill in an entire night fell victim to a mortar shell just hours after landing on Iwo Jima. On February 19, 1945, John Basilone was killed in action. But what happened that night on October 24th, 1942, whether in the freezing forests of the Kola River or the jungles of Guadalcanal, proved that when a man has the fire of courage and duty inside him, he alone is equal to an entire army. John Basilone died, but he became immortal. He is known as the Marine who held the hill alone.